in one way, right? It's like how you tarnish someone's legacy, right? You like something I've been thinking about is thinking about the like again the height of the black experience and the significance of certain times. So during the civil rights era, we have the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Medgar Evers, and they were like the height representatives of the black experience. And nowadays, or more in more modern times, right? The height of the black experience is related to hip hop, rap music, and you get the assassinations of Biggie Smalls, you get Tupac. For me, you get XXX Tentacion because he was a young rapper who was supposed to, influence the future. And the, at times, it feels like I want to tread on this lightly. The people who get murdered, I think, kind of represent where the culture is. Right? There are no current leaders who are doing the work of the aforementioned pioneers. Everyone's kind of playing it safe, and the only black people, only black leaders that are dying are related to hip hop, related to music. Like there are no activists in the black experience dying. Everyone's just kind of towing a line, and it feels becoming, and it kind of adds on to the cynicism and knowing that or feeling that no one's really willing to die, no one's really willing to fight to bring the change and growth that the black experience needs. It's really just kind of the acceptance and feeling included and getting the bag at the end of the day, right? Everyone's out here just focused on getting the bag, and it's it's sad, man. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. Um, and the other side of it is always like, we don't need leaders, we don't need individuals champion it, but the issue is always that the people who reach these heights and levels of success, they front and they perpetrate the fraud, like they're willing to put the black experience on their back and they're here for the black experience. But once that check comes in, once the right person's in the air, they flip, and the black experience is just what it always has been. For me, it feels like.
Oh, so yes, you're spot on, man. At least I recently listened to, or someone suggested that I check out uh, Malcolm X's conversation at, I believe it was UC Berkeley, um, and he just talked about a number of things, but uh, it's like a 40-minute conversation, and he talks about how black leaders, especially back in those times, where a lot of them were basically pawns of the rich white, their rich white, not so much counterparts, but uh, funders or endorsers. So they were
Right.
basically being endorsed to speak to the black community in a certain way or speak for the black community in a certain way. And he was asking the interviewer, like, name one. He's like, could you name one of our leaders who is not tied in or is not a pawn of some sort? And the guy was just throwing out names, and Malcolm X was like, "No, not him. No, not him." And I think that there's a similar thing happening as, you know, you may be this is, and I'm gonna jump off subject a little bit, but this is kind of why I look at Kanye the way I look at Kanye, and how much some of the things he says it makes a lot of sense. He goes off the rails sometimes, but it
Right.
makes a lot of sense about the influence of wealth and how wealth plays a huge part in the who's in our country and our world. Living in a capitalist society, so it's kind of the same thing with Malcolm. Malcolm's like, hey, if these millionaires, billionaires are giving black leaders, hey, money to just kind of speak up and keep us at bay, they're just as much as a problem.
Right.
And that's something that I still see to this day. So